Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Mind the Mental. It is Mind the Mental Monday, and I am once again very excited to be here. And I once again have a very a guest who is near and dear and special to me. But as you're coming in, please let us know where you're tuning in from. Put it in the chat where you're tuning in from. And I welcome you all to Mind the Mental Monday. Tonight, we're going to be talking about minding the mental as an athlete. And I wanted my son to come on and talk about this because we've had a lot of instances, in particular in the last few years. I think really since the pandemic, and maybe even a little before the pandemic, where athletes have taken a stand to take care of their mental health. They've taken a stand that they are going to take care of their mental health, even if it means losing a paycheck, even if it means, missing out on some endorsement deals or whatever the case might be, that they're going to prioritize their mental health. And so a lot of times after an athlete, when they get to the end of their career, and that's whether it's a career in it's a college or high school or professional, whatever the case might be, when they get to that last game and they realize that they're not going to play anymore, there's a lot that comes with that the average person might not understand. So we're going to jump right into the conversation. I'm happy and excited to have my son James with me tonight, and I know he must love me because his beloved Eagles is about to play is playing. Their game is starting right now, and he's on here with me tonight. So thank you, James, for letting me take a little bit of time away from your Eagles time to chat with me tonight.
Hmm.
So just as a brief introduction, James is a graduate of Virginia State University. He has a degree in physical education with a minor in sports management. He is currently a graduate assistant strength and conditioning coach at University, McNeese State University in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And he coaches women's basketball, indoor volleyball, and beach volleyball. And he also does some work with the football team as well. So welcome, James, to Mind the Mental Monday. I'm happy to have you. And I just want to start off by, why don't you just, in your own words, I know I just did a little brief introduction, but in your own words, just talk a little bit about your career aspirations and kind of where you are in life right now.
Yeah. So again, if some of the viewers just came on, but my name is James Weathers. Of course, I'm your son. So from Sicklerville, New Jersey, graduated from Virginia State University 2021 with a bachelor's degree in physical education and a minor in sports management. So the current field that I'm in right now, I'm a strength and conditioning coach. So at McNeese State University. So like my mom said, I assist with football, work with women's basketball and women's indoor volleyball and beach volleyball as well too. So I'll kind of give you a background before I got to McNeese, so how I got into the field. So after I graduated, I worked at I was a gym manager. So I worked at this place called Esporta. Kind of just trying to figure everything out. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just started there first. So I started there as assistant general manager.
So I'm sorry, James. Can we just back up even a little bit more, right?
Hmm.
Talk a little bit about your experience as an athlete. What sports did you play?
Okay.
Um, what and what was that like? And when did you play?
Oh, okay. So we want to talk about like when I was younger. So I grew up kind of playing almost everything. So played football, basketball, soccer, did track and field probably for only like 1 year. Only sport that I didn't play was baseball, but I played that for fun with my friends. But the primary two sports that I played was football and basketball. So I started playing football when I was either like 6 or 7 years
Six.
old, about 6 years old.
Mhm.
Started playing basketball probably when I was like 7 or 8. And then I started playing soccer even probably even younger than that when I was 5. I played soccer until I was probably until I got to like 5th grade. Stopped soccer to pursue more football and basketball only. So then played football and basketball, ran track one time in like middle school, from 6th grade all the way until 8th grade. Then once I got to high school, I just honed in on two sports, which was football and basketball. I only played basketball my freshman year. But then after that, my sophomore junior, I just stuck with football until my senior year, where I played football and basketball. Then of course I went to college and played football in college for a little bit.
So what were your aspirations, when you were younger? I know that football was like your, even though you played all those other sports too, football was like your love. What was it about football that you just loved so much?
Yeah, keep it candid with you. I'm just going to keep it 100, and don't be mad at me that I'm
Please
about
do.
to say this, but I just like knocking the shit out of people. That's just how, that's just how it was. I just like knocking I just like knocking the hell out of people. That's kind of like how it was. I grew up, playing with my friends, playing football. And I just loved it from then on. And that's kind of like just what it is. You got a chance to hurt people without getting in troubles. So might as well just take it out, take it out there on the field. So
So it was a way for you to kind of relieve some stress, maybe some anxiety.
Um, I mean, not really when I was younger, no. Probably when I got to like middle school, maybe high school, yes, because grade that's when the grades and stuff, having anxiety about, tests and get keeping your grades up, that's probably was a stress reliever. When I was little, nah, I didn't really have any anxiety or anything like that. I just went out there because it was fun. Got to hit people, got to,
And that was
put people on the ass. It was fun. That's that's
okay. We're gonna curb the
sorry about that.
um so um so what was it? So once you got to college, you played in college. What were your aspirations at that point when you started playing in college?
I think like everybody else, of course, you want to get to the highest level of playing football. So of course it was the NFL. Like that's a dream and goal of mine since I was like when I was like young. Like, cause I saw how it was on TV, like how the crowd was, how the energy was. Waking up early in the morning on Saturdays, watching like college football, seeing.
Um, uh, uh,
You hear me?
your sound is kind of going out.
Hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So just going, I would say backtrack it, but like just waking up early in the morning, like on Saturdays when I was younger, just watching college football, and even on Sundays, watching the games on the NFL, and watching the crowd and how like how people were the energy around it. That's kind of like what I wanted to be a part of. And then just seeing how people got glamour just for just making unbelievable spectacular catches, and that's something that you want to idolize. So like that's kind of like was the main reason why I wanted to go to the NFL.
So when that didn't materialize, what were some of the emotions you feel like you experienced when you graduated college and that opportunity to pursue a higher level of sport didn't happen?
For me, it was. I think I felt like at that time period, it was probably one of the biggest failures of my life because you
Mm.
have this big goal that you're trying to achieve, and it just doesn't happen. And probably that was the first time where I really felt like I was like internally I was a failure, especially like seeing some of the guys that I played with when I was younger, how they were having success, like in college, and some of them even going to the league now. You want to get to that level too as well, but it just didn't pan out. And yeah, the failure, having that big thing of failure, and it's just like, dang, I went through all this my whole life, and I like got nothing out of it. Like I didn't get like anything. Like I didn't get what I wanted to get type of deal. So it was definitely like a tough couple of years just thinking about it, even watching like football on TV and just seeing like, man, like I wanted to get to this level and it just it just didn't happen. And so like that really deteriorated me. Like it really like it was like almost like a gut punch. It's almost like you being in a fight and you've been going your whole life. You kind of win and win and win, and then when you finally get hit and you get like knocked down, you're like, yeah, it hurts. It hurt for a little bit.
So as you were going through that, what were how did you cope? What were some of your coping mechanisms, as you were going through that?
To be honest with you, my coping mechanisms, I wouldn't agree. Like I wouldn't let anybody, I wouldn't tell anybody to do what I did because what I did was very inappropriate for what I did. Like it wasn't good. I dibbled and dabbled in, and I'm not gonna lie, I'll just keep it 100. Dibbled and dabbled in weed, uh kind of just tried to like smoke and kind of just suppress my problem and my pain away. So like some nights when I did used to do it, I was sometimes was just hoping like not even to like wake up in the morning because I was going through that time period. So that was what I would say is that is like one of the worst ways that you can handle depression. When you're handling depression, you got to find different outlets to do it. That wasn't a good way. That was a bad way. Looking back at it now, luckily I've gotten past that point and I'm happy I'm not in that point. But during that time period, that was definitely a dark period in my life. It felt like almost felt like a storm, almost like, like you just like you're outside and everything is like, it's sunny, but you feel like there's just a storm just coming down each and every day. And it didn't feel good at all. Like it
Like
felt,
there's a cloud and the cloud is just
yeah,
over your head.
yeah, it didn't feel good at all, honestly. Like it felt bad. Like that's probably one of the kind of some of not so good years, like just how I felt internally, in terms of like, confidence and just about myself and how I felt, all just stems from just not reaching that big goal type of,
Yeah.
and yeah, it hurt for a while.
Yeah, and one of the things that I, can say too is that as at the time you were away in college, so I didn't, your dad and I didn't necessarily see you go through that level of depression, but knowing you and knowing how, so for the audience, James loved football. I mean, to a point, he was like Kobe Bryant. You heard stories about how he would just sit and watch old tapes of basketball games. James was that way with football, and he could just sit and watch football all day and look at different plays that people were doing and thinking about ways that he could better his own performance. So knowing that how much you love the sport and not seeing you get that opportunity to go further um was painful for us. And and so a lot of times I think if you're not, if you're related to an athlete, or if you have an athlete in your home, or if you're an athlete yourself, um, being aware that when they are not able to, even those that might have gotten to the highest level, but they get injured and they're all of a sudden it's like their career is just, take completely taken away. What the things that they face internally can really be detrimental to them mentally, because for so long that's what they were known for. That's kind of what. So would you when did you realize, when did you get to the place where you just felt like you needed to kind of just pivot and make a turn in a different direction? You mentioned that um you used weed as a way of escape. um you're no longer doing that, but at what point, like what got you to that point?
I would say is that semester where I got suspended for getting caught for doing that. That was I feel like that was the biggest pivot where I was just like, all right, I gotta change what I'm doing. I think that was the biggest pivot for anybody that doesn't know. I got suspended for a semester because of getting caught smoking marijuana. Not something that I'm proud of, but we're just going to keep it 100. But that was kind of like just the biggest pivot. And I'm actually happy that it happened because if it didn't, maybe I'll still be probably doing the same stuff I'm doing today. But that was kind of like that wake up call. Like, well, you gotta get your stuff together because at some point, like it can all be taken away just like that, like everything. So that was kind of like the wake up call to be like, all right, I got to just stop what I'm doing right now. I got to focus on like, okay, what can I control right now? Right now, the league, that's out of the question right now. Like it's just keep it 100. It's not going to happen. So now I have to look at other avenues and other things just to say and think like, hey, listen, like what else am I good at? What else do I like to do? What other hobbies or interests that I like, or what other industries do I want to get into? That was kind of like that biggest pivot that I had when I got suspended that semester. Luckily, they
So
let me back.
walk us through that. Walk us through your process, and walk us through the steps that got you to where you are right now.
Well, first I would say is just being accountability, taking accountability for your actions. That's the first thing. First thing is always taking accountability and not being a victim. Because in them situations, I could have been like, oh well, I did this because this happened. I did this because that happened. First is taking accountability and just knowing that all right, you did what you did. You got to hold yourself accountable. Then and now the next step is like, all right, where do we go from here? Because you can't go back to that because if you go back to that, you already know nothing ends up good happening when you go back to that situation or whatever you was doing before. So then you kind of just start picking your brains. You start kind of just jotting down like different ideas. That's what I did. I had a note, kind of had a notebook, and even for a little bit, I had a board too where I just wrote, all right, what I want to do, and what plans
Mhm.
do I have? Like
Your vision board.
yeah, my vision board. Where do you see yourself like during this time or that time? So that's what I did during that time to kind of like start the game plan and kind of think things through. Like, all right, this is like kind of like the next moves. Here are some opportunities, some options that I have going forward. So those are kind of like some of the things that help me get to, where I'm at today. In terms of that aspect. So to pinpoint to kind of like summarize it all, just first taking accountability, and then just then the next thing is just jotting down everything out. What things can you do like better? What things can you do to get better? Like each day. Like what are you looking for? Like in the future, just jot out like kind of like your goals and what you want to do, and just different lists that you can have, so you can go back and be like, all right, let me try this, and this, and then you kind of just cross them off each one by one to see like, all right, does this work? Nah, exit that out. All right, this works. Let me try this out, and all right, what do I need to do to get better at what I'm doing like right now and stuff like that.
And so you started to mention that you started out being a manager at a sporta uh, uh, gym. It's not a gym. What
Yeah,
is it?
it's a gym.
Okay. What did you do? What did you do after that?
So after that, I ended up leaving there. I was out of work for a little bit, so I did a little bit of personal training on the side to kind of like, help me keep afloat. But then after that, I became what is it? Sorry about that. I blanked on it, but I became
Stretchologist.
a stretch practitioner. So I worked at this place called Stretch Zone. I ended up becoming a stretch practitioner. So that was actually a really great experience for the time I was working there. I learned a lot about the body. How does it relate to stretching? Like how can it be beneficial? And it's something that like I obtained a skill by. So that's something that I really honed in on my skills for. So that helped out a lot becoming a stretch practitioner. Not only did it help me out with just the skill of just the skill of learning about the body and how it works and like what
Mhm.
different stretches you could do, but it also taught me how to have a conversation with people as well. So when I was with my when I used to have stretch clients, I used to like just talk to them all the time. And so that helped me now with just, having conversations and just networking with different people. So I'm able to have that conversation conversational and conversation and stuff like that now to what I'm doing and stuff. That helped out a lot too as well.
And so after that, or while you were doing that, what were some other things that you were doing as you were making this sort of pivot and transition into a new career path?
Oh yeah. So while I was not only being a church practitioner, I was looking also at other things that I could do in terms of like personal training. I looked at this industry is called our field is called strength and conditioning. So I looked at it where you get a chance to train athletes at the not only the high school level but collegiate level and also professional level as well too. So I was just like, all right, let me see like what this field is like. So then my time being a stretch practitioner, I interned at first I interned at a private gym. So I interned at this place called Adrenaline Sports Performance, where he trains a lot of professional, not only middle school, high school athletes, but collegiate athletes, but professional athletes. So I just wanted to see like, all right, how does the private sector work? How is it training? Different age groups because there's difference between training a professional than training like a middle schooler or even a youth athlete. So I got a chance to see that. Got a chance to see like how the how to how to how to run a business and stuff like that. But yeah, that one I started out with that. Then after that, I interned at this place called St. Joe's University, where I interned under Jeffrey. If I'm saying it right, his name is Coach Jeff. He was at the time he was a head strength conditioning coach for St. Joe's University women's basketball. So I learned a lot under him. It taught me a lot, like how it is to like train collegiate athletes. And so I interned there for a little bit. Also got the chance to watch like other sports as well too, like women's basketball, women's softball, men's baseball, just all a lot of different sports. But then I wanted to see like, all right, how was it like coaching like football, college football, like as a head strength and conditioning coach. So after that, I went to Temple University and also I interned at University of Pennsylvania, UPenn, during the winter this past winter, up January until about maybe May. So that was a good experience. Then after that, I wanted to kind of branch out to see like what other people's training philosophies were in terms of in like collegiate. So I want to go to like a more of a, like a big time Division 1 program. So I ended up going to University of Maryland this past summer, where I felt like I really definitely learned a lot. I felt like I started to hone in on my skills a little bit more as a strength coach. Even though I'm still young in the field, but that's where I really started to like grasp. I really started to grasp the information a little bit more. So then after that, after leaving there, I got an opportunity to then go down to McNeese State University, where I was able to intern this past fall for football. So I work with football, assisted them with their weightlifting, and also getting to travel with them to games and stuff like that. But then also I assisted with track and field and baseball as well too. So that was a great experience. So since I did a good job interning there, I just got promoted to a graduate assistant position, to where now I get to coach my own teams, write my own programs for my teams, and get to implement different training strategies and training protocols. So now I'm a grad assistant with football. Now I have my own teams, which is women's basketball, women's indoor volleyball, and beach volleyball. So that's kind of like the journey I've had from there.
And educationally, what else?
Oh, educationally, I got, of course, my bachelor's degree.
No, no, no. What, like at McNeese?
What you mean?
You now also have an opportunity to
Oh yeah, I
get
got.
your
Yeah. You're right. You're right. My bad. I got an opportunity to go to school for free now. Free school. Get my master's.
a free master's degree, which is we'll take it, right?
I need that.
So it's really great. I think that if young athletes look at this, I think they will learn a lot from you in terms of, one path might not work, but there's so many other opportunities, so many other paths that you can travel, even and still remain in the sports field, if you'd like. And so I think that you have really had an incredible journey. Your dad and I are incredibly proud of you because we've seen you through all of it, through your entire journey. And we're very proud of of just how far you've come. What advice would you give younger athletes about taking care of their mental health?
First, I would say is I'll first say to them is take I would say take accountability. Accountability is kind of probably the most important thing that you can do. So if you do anything like let's say wrong or you feel like you've been criticized in a certain way, just take accountability for yourself. And just let yourself know like all right, bet I'm going through this right now. I got to hold myself accountable instead of you being like a victim. And then also just kind of addressing the root of the problem right then and there and kind of just not letting it kind of just go on type of thing. Because if you let it go on, it's kind of like almost like, you getting stabbed. I hate to like say it like that, but you get stabbed, you kind of just start to bleed out, bleed out. You bleed out even more. Eventually, you're going to be done. So
Mhm.
you don't want problems to bleed on like that. You want to kind of just hurry up, solve the problem, stitch it up, kind of handle it right then and there, figure out what you need to do. If you need to talk to somebody, if you just need like a mental health day, they call it. But just figure out where you are mentally and where you need to go from there. What options, what roads do you have to take from there? And then for I'll probably say like a third thing too is this is kind of like not going with like mental health. This is more so like just coaching. If any youth athlete, I would just say be coachable. You know, never go wrong with being coachable. Always listen to your coaches or whoever it is because I, honestly they know more than you. So if you can be coachable, that'll take you a long way.
I think that takes people a long way, even who are not athletes. Always be a learner, always be, willing to learn something from somebody, accept constructive criticism, because, it just takes you further in the short run, and in the long run, it takes you further than you might otherwise get.
Mhm.
Um, so I want to kind of change course now from talking about you as an athlete and as a strength and conditioning coach. Well, before I change to this other topic, tell people what that is. What is a strength and conditioning coach, and why is that an important role across sports?
So So I would say strength and condition the role of a strength and conditioning coach is basically you're trying to get your to keep it the most simplest form, you're just trying to get your athletes bigger, faster, and stronger. So that's kind of like your role. So athletes, there's always like the three buckets. We call it the three buckets, right? So how can you get your athletes bigger, faster, and stronger? So our job is to figure out what training programs we can put our athletes through. Also, recovery, nutrition, all them things have a key aspect on our job. That's kind of like our main thing. So we're offering we give training programs to the not give training, we coach training programs, give the right training protocols to the athletes. We also help out with recovery. So if that's any like stretching, foam rolling, even it's this thing called tampering. It's kind of like a I hate to say it, but ghetto massage kind of sort of thing. Because that's kind of like really what it is. But I mean, it is helpful. But
Mhm.
that's kind of like our job, just making sure our athletes stay healthy and also stay durable on the court because that's the main important thing, right? Like every athlete wants to be bigger, faster, stronger. Now, how do we get them there? That's kind of like the main thing. How what's the right approach to get them there? So that also accounts for what we do in the weight room, but also what we do out there on the field as well too. So we have field work, and then we also have weight room work as well too that we have to do for our athletes. as well. So that's kind of like what our job is in this field.
What are some ways that you help to get your athletes mentally strong? Because that's something that's a conversation that you and I had, but I'd be interested in you talking more about because half of playing the sport and winning is your mentality going into a game. So what are some ways to help athletes to be more mentally strong?
Honestly, make the workout as tough as possible. Now, how do we do that? Making the workout as tough as possible. So not we wouldn't necessarily make the workout tough in season because the important part for the athlete in season is on the court. So we got to make sure that they're healthy on the court. But all season, that's where we get them mentally strong, right? So the priority during the off season is the weight room on the field. So we're trying to make the workouts as hard as possible because you need that, right? If you're going through like a hard workout, mentally, your brain is going to be like, nah, I don't want to go through it no more because essentially your body wants the wants to go through it like an easy path type of thing, right? It wants to find comfort. So in order to push the athlete past comfort, we have to make the workout hard. We have to have them go through some type of level of stress. Stress is important. Like some key aspects of stress is important to the body, especially when it comes to working out. So for an athlete, we have to stress them as much as possible. So in order to stress them, we so that they can get that certain adaptation from the weight room and out in the field, so they can be able to adapt to it. It's just like, for example, right? I give like kind of like an analogy. It's almost like a caterpillar. A caterpillar first goes through the first stage where like it's kind of just a caterpillar, right? It's just crawling. It's kind of like eating everything, but then essentially it goes through like a cocoon, and then it becomes a butterfly. So the athletes go through the same thing. So in order for them to their process of going through the cocoon is a little bit different. Got to make it hard as possible. Like, got to make the workout hard because that way it shows the athlete like, oh, I already went through a hard workout. So
Mhm.
now I've been through this hard workout. I've been through this already. So when it comes game time, it's like, I bet, like I'm ready to go. Like especially when you get into like the fourth quarter of a football game, it's tied up. You gotta go score to win. And like mentally, like you're tired, you're checked out, but you just remember all like the hard workouts that you did during the summertime, all the running, all
Mm.
the jumping, sprinting that you did, and it kind of just prepares you for that moment. So that's kind of like how we attack the mental. We attack it through more of a physical aspect, but then again, we do coach them really hard. So like we give them affirmations. You gotta stay on top of your athletes because like they vibe off of you, for example,
Mm.
right? Like my basketball girls, like they vibe off of me. So like if I go into the weight room and if I coach them up, like, all right, guys, you guys are all good to go. Like we're gonna be straight. Like, nah, they're gonna just vibe off of me. They're gonna think like everything's gonna be easy. So you gotta coach them hard as well too. Gotta coach them hard. That's
Okay.
how you kind of build the mental process up. So coach them hard, and make the workout hard, and then also just giving them positive feedback, positive affirmations, and always kind of just reinforcing them as well too, because that'll help go a long way as well. Because if I'm saying it, then it kind of goes around the whole team. Then they tell it to their teammates, and then it creates a positive vibe off of that.
Good. That sounds like good advice. So I want to kind of pivot a little bit and talk about nutrition. Um, because you in the last little over a year now have decided to become a vegan. What I call a strict vegan. So like no sugars and no oils, little
Well,
seasonings,
here and there now, not that was
oil here and there.
here and there, yeah.
Um, how did you go about making that decision?
Honestly, it just started out as a challenge. Like one of my clients when I was at Stress Zone, he was vegan. He was telling me all the benefits of it and stuff, and he kind of like challenged me to do it. At first, I wasn't on board with it because I was a big meathead. I love fish, chicken, all that. You couldn't tell me nothing. I need to have my whole dinner. It had to be something like with meat. Um, but essentially, like I like challenges, and so I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna just do it. Like, let's see how it goes. So for that 30 days, I did it, and I noticed a lot of changes in me. So I noticed that I had like a lot of energy. I noticed that I was still strong in the weight room too, because that's what I was fearing. Because I was just like, all right, if I go on this diet, will I like become weak in the weight room? But I wasn't weak. I was still strong. I could still squat heavy. I could still bench heavy. I could still deadlift heavy. So I was just like, wow, like, all right, let me go down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Like, how can I get the proper nutrition to like be able to sustain this for like a long period of time? And I was just like, all right. I started just reading a lot of articles. I also had got a lot of cookbooks, started uh, trying to like try different recipes and stuff like that. And essentially like kind of found a mold and how to like get all my calories and all my intake in and stuff like that. So granted, it first started out as a challenge, and then I was just like, all right, I'm gonna just take it on. I'm gonna just keep going. I like the lifestyle. I like how I feel. Not only mentally, physically. I remember when I would used to eat meat, it just didn't really sit right in my stomach. I mean,
Mm,
also some days I would just wake up like not in the right mental like headspace too as well. What I notice is without having it, for some reason, like I feel better. You know, I feel better in the gym. Overall my energy is a lot better compared to when I did have it. So, but that's just a me thing. That doesn't mean it's going to happen to everybody.
right. But yeah, it's interesting because you so just for everybody else who's listening, James was that kid who growing up would get upset because I would make them drink so much water before they could get juice. Um, and,
Yeah,
and he was that kid that did was like, why do we have to eat organic? And so to see where he is now, and now he's kind of coaching his dad and me myself, trying to encourage us to do more plant-based eating. So we'll see what happens. But so it's good to see that you have so much discipline with it too. I think in all that you've talked about today, I think another important key aspect of everything that a thread that runs through all of it is discipline. No matter if you're an athlete, if you're a coach, if you're committed to a certain lifestyle of nutrition, discipline is important, and maintaining that discipline throughout the trajectory of um, your life is important. Um,
like just to piggyback off of what you said, like when I was at the University of Maryland, Coach Ryan Davis always used to say, you have control over your own mental real estate. So whatever you like, whatever's going on or whatever, like you have control and have power over it. So it's your job to have power over your mind and your habits and what you do. I like, for example, like if I'm going through like, let's say I'm going through like I got back squat today, 10 sets to two at a heavy weight. You know, I gotta make that choice where I'm like, all right, I gotta dig deep, I gotta get in, I gotta do this. Because if I don't, then it's like I'm making he used to say never cut deals with yourself. Like never cut deals with yourself ever. So I always remember that too. Don't ever cut a deal with yourself. Like if you stick to something, like do it, have the discipline to do it. So that's kind of like where that discipline comes. Just to piggyback off of that.
yeah, and it was something that you used to say all the time too. Discipline is what kicks in, sort of when your body doesn't. So like if you don't want to do something, when you don't feel like doing that workout, when you don't feel like doing the things that you need to do to maintain yourself, that's where discipline comes in,
Yeah,
because when you don't feel like it, discipline says, I got to do it anyway, I got
yeah,
to get it done.
yeah,
And you kind of do it no matter what, and then
yeah,
you feel good after, when you stick to your plan, and you do what you are called to do. It makes you feel good about yourself,
yeah. It
you
do,
know
it do.
so what impact do you think that changing your diet has had on your mental health? You touched on that a little bit, but you said you feel better mentally after having changed your diet. How has it changed? How has it helped?
I would just say like a lot more like positive thoughts. I'm not saying that maybe the meat had a control over like my mental health, but I just noticed like after I used to eat it, and then after I kind of used to just sit in my stomach, I noticed that like, I'll have not really good like mental thoughts, like kind of like judging myself on certain things and just I don't know if that's kind of like a placebo effect or if like it actually like happened, but once I switched to plant-based, I kind of noticed like since my energy was good, I always had like positive like thoughts, and I felt good throughout the day. Like my moods weren't like this. It was more so like this, like going upwards and stuff like that. So I think since my energy was good, I think it had me, thinking like positive things and how good the day was going to be, and like just different things like that. Instead of like waking up and like you just ate, you know, uh, chicken or something like the other night, and I'm waking up and I'm like I don't feel like getting up. I don't feel like doing nothing. I just want to lay here type of deal. Where it's like now it's like, well, I get another chance to get up. Got another day. Get a chance to go work out. Like I'm ready to go type of deal. Like a lot more energy than when I.
So what's your schedule like as a strength and conditioning coach?
Whoo! Oh my gosh! Don't get me started with that, man. As a strength coach, man, I'm up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm up at 5, and I'm not done my day until probably about maybe 6 or 7 p.m. at night. Luckily, like as a strength coach, like throughout the day you do train groups, so like usually like I would give you my schedule back when I was at McNeese or earlier in the season. I used to be up at like 5 o'clock. We used to have a group at 7 o'clock. We had to set up the weights at 6 a.m., train them at 7. Then we would have like another group at 9. Then after that we would have track more so in the afternoon. Had to train them either, track used to be in the evening. Track used to be at 6. But baseball, we used to have like, because the pitchers, because the thing about baseball is I didn't notice, but the pitchers, they have a lot of pitchers on staff over at McNeese. So like you're training like maybe 2 to 3 groups at a time,
Mm.
and so they're all and the crazy part is like they're all on different templates, so they all have different exercise that they're doing. So one group is doing this, and then another group is doing that. So you got to coach them a little bit differently. Um, so you're going through that. So like by the end of it, my day's not done until probably around 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Luckily, with strength and conditioning, like you have time in there if you want to like train. So sometimes like if I know I got to be up early, sometimes I'll just go in at 4 a.m. and train so I can get that joint out the way. Because after I'm training groups in the middle of the day, I'm like, that's when it kicks in. It's like, man, I do not feel like training right today. So like sometimes I would just train at 4 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes I'll train in the afternoon. So kind of just finding time to kind of like get my own workout in, but then also like, training the other athletes and stuff like that. So yeah, my day is from like 5 a.m. to like 7 p.m. I'm done by 7 p.m. But I don't question it though. I love what I do for right now. It's going good.
Yeah, I noticed that whenever you talk about it, you just kind of light up. It's like you really, kind of found, something that you really love doing. And there's nothing like being able to, call, with your employment, to love your employment like that.
Oh yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
very happy for you
yeah.
that you have that. Um, so are there any other last sort of final words that you want to leave with the audience um, about athletes and mental health? Anything else?
Yeah, I would just say first things first. If you're a young athlete, if you're a high school athlete, collegiate athlete, I would just say first things first, whatever the coach or who's ever coaching you, like I said before, always be coachable. That's even for me too. Like even as like, the field that I'm in right now, as the people that I learned under, they always told me to be coachable and just always have an open mind. So just always doing that. Make sure that you're always doing that. Don't have ego too, because your ego could be your enemy. Your ego could be your enemy, or your ego could be your best friend, right? So you want it to be your best friend, but also you got to know how to control your ego as well too. So like if coaches are getting on you, just know that they're not just getting on you just to get on you. You got to really think about it. Like, all right, what did I do wrong this day, and how can I get better to get better towards this day type of deal. And that's something that I had to learn too as well early on. Not only as in like me playing early in my earlier years, but also just being in the field because sometimes you do get chewed out and you're just like, man, like why did I get chewed out today? But now not knowing it's just like, all right, I gotta look at it like, all right, bet I gotta look at it like this, like I'm getting chewed out for a reason, so I had to just take it on the chin. And what's the thing that I'll just learn from it, and then just kind of like move on from that. And then also like if you're an athlete, you're going through like any like mental health issues or anything like that, first acknowledge the problem, acknowledge that you have a mental health problem, but then also find key resources for you to go out and get like mental health help or anything like that. Like if you have to go to a therapist, go to a therapist. You got to talk to your friend, your girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever you're going through. Like just find it because it can save you a lot of trouble. Because for me, honestly, like during my time in college, it could have resulted in me losing my life. Unfortunately, luckily, I got a great support system. But if I didn't have a great support system, man, I was 21 in that line a little bit of almost, it could have went there, honestly. So just making sure that you had the right support system, making sure that you get the right help. And that's really it, honestly. That's what I got so far for them.
Well, I want to thank you, really for your transparency. You were very transparent tonight, and I really appreciate that. I'm sure those that are tuning in also appreciate, your transparency and all that you have been able to offer. So I just thank you again for coming on Mind the Mental. Thank you, everybody who joined us tonight, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram. I appreciate you tuning in to Mind the Mental Monday. Remember that to tune in every Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be off for the next 2 weeks, enjoying the holidays, but come back January. I think it'll be January 8th will be the next time that we'll be doing Mind the Mental Monday. Meanwhile, if you haven't seen the rest of them, go to my YouTube channel at Benita Weathers 329. Subscribe, please, and tune in there. I hope that you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays for those that might not celebrate those holidays, and just mind the mental during this holiday season. Take care. God bless everybody. Bye. Everybody.